President Donald Trump is defending his national security advisor, Michael Waltz, and top administration officials are downplaying a security breach that saw plans for upcoming military strikes in Yemen shared on a Signal group chat. According to Associated Press, they insist classified information wasn't leaked and are far more outraged with the journalist, editor-in-chief for The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, who was errantly included in the chat by Waltz and reported on its contents. Speaking to reporters in the cabinet room Tuesday afternoon during a meeting with a group of his ambassadors, President Donald Trump said of the Signal leak, "The main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful." Trump called Waltz a very good man and insisted he will continue to do a very good job, while adding, "You have to learn from every experience. I think it's very unfair how they attacked Michael." The president also said he didn't believe Waltz should have to apologize and, "I think he's doing his best." He also insisted no classified information was leaked, adding, "Now if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different." Trump instead decried Goldberg, calling him a total sleazebag. Waltz hit the same theme, saying, "I think there's a lot in the lessons for a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves making up lies about this president. This journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes," Waltz said. The ambassadors in the room later applauded his comments.
Mr. President, are you going to change any of the practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships, not only our ships, ships all over the world. They're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use. And I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, Mr. President. You asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team, took out the head missileer, knocked out missiles, knocked out headquarters, knocked out communication sites. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. You're welcome, world.
National security was put at risk, Mr. President.
Of senior officials using Signal
Do I
moving
plan to
forward.
ban who?
The use of Signal to communicate from senior officials.
Well, I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this, but I just heard about it. And I hear it's used by a lot of groups. It's used by the media a lot. It's used by a lot of the military, and I think successfully. But sometimes somebody can get onto those things. That's one of the prices you pay when you're not sitting in the situation room with no phones on, which is always the best, frankly.
So are you going to change any procedures as a result of this?
This certainly will look at this, but the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful. It was, I guess, from what I understand, took place during, and it wasn't classified information. So this was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different. But I always say you have to learn from every experience. I think it was very unfair the way they attacked Michael. He's a good person. The person that was on just happens to be a sleazebag, so maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know.
But you are going to conduct an investigation.
The man that we're talking about, who's not somebody that I don't think most people have ever heard of, he left. He found it very boring, and he left early. He got off the line very early. So I can't speak to it other than that. So he's made up a lot of stories, and I think he's basically bad for the country. But it's a failing venture, very failing venture. They're very upset, and a thing like this is publicity for them. But I don't think we should allow people that are very good, like that man sitting right at the end of the table who's done a great job. We shouldn't allow them to be hurt by it.
Do you think that Mike Waltz made a mistake, and does he need to apologize?
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
Sir, I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
A lot of times you find out defects by exactly things like that, but I don't think it's something we're looking forward to using again. We may be forced to use it. You may be in a situation where you need speed as opposed to gross safety, and you may be forced to use it, but generally speaking, I think we probably won't be using it very much.
Trump administration officials mistakenly disclosed war plans in a messaging group that included a journalist shortly before the U.S. attacked Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis. The Atlantic magazine's Jeffrey Goldberg reported that he had been added to a Signal message group which apparently included Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. He said he had seen classified military plans for U.S. strikes on Houthi rebels, including weapons packages, targets and timing, 2 hours before the bomb struck. The report sparked a firestorm of criticism from opposition Democrats and concerns among several Republicans. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15 that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing, Jeffrey Goldberg said. His report omitted the details, but Goldberg termed it a shockingly reckless use of a Signal chat. Accounts that appeared to represent Vice President J.D. Vance, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and senior National Security Council officials were assembled in the chat group, Goldberg wrote. Joe Kent, Trump's nominee for National Counterterrorism Center Director, was apparently on the Signal chain despite not yet being Senate-confirmed. National Security Council spokesperson Brian Hughes said the chat group appeared to be authentic. The Defense Secretary also defended the military operation discussed in the chat, citing its success. When pressed by reporters, Hegseth criticized Goldberg as a deceitful and highly discredited journalist and resisted questions about the content of the messages. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, said the breach had been a mistake, but argued that the chat showed top-level officials doing their job, doing it well. Democratic lawmakers demanded an investigation, casting the episode as a national security scandal. This is one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence that I have read about in a very, very long time, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said. U.S. President Donald Trump launched an ongoing campaign of large-scale military strikes against Yemen's Houthis on March 15 over the group's attacks against Red Sea shipping, and he warned Iran, the Houthis' main backer, that it needed to immediately halt support for the group.